I always thought my family was unshakable. My parents were strict but loving, my brother was protective, and we always looked out for each other. But everything began to fall apart the day he brought his wife, Claire, into our lives. At first, I believed she was just shy, maybe nervous about fitting in. But soon, I realized something darker was happening. Something that would turn my entire family against me. It started small. Claire would make these little comments at dinner, subtle but sharp. "Oh, you're still living with your parents? That must be hard for you," she'd say, smirking while sipping her wine. I brushed it off, laughing awkwardly because I didn't want to seem insecure. But then she started copying me. If I wore a blue dress one night, the next week she'd show up in the exact same shade, except hers was designer. If I baked cookies, she'd bake a bigger, fancier batch the next day and hand them to my parents with a smile while mine were pushed aside. It didn't feel like competition at first. It felt intentional, like she wanted to erase me. My parents adored her. They'd gush about how kind and graceful she was, while I stood there invisible, holding back tears. I thought maybe I was just jealous. Maybe I was overthinking. But then, one night, I overheard something that froze me to my core. I was walking past the kitchen, about to grab some water, when I heard Claire whispering to my mom. "She's too dependent on you. Don't you think she should move on with her life? Maybe you and your husband should give her a little push out of the nest." My heart dropped. My mom didn't say much, just hummed in agreement. But the next week, my parents suddenly started talking about me finding my own place, about how I needed to grow up. It was like Claire planted the seed, and now it was spreading like poison. I wanted to confront her. I wanted to scream. But every time I tried to defend myself, I ended up looking crazy. Claire had this way of turning everything around. She'd act sweet and innocent while I sounded bitter and paranoid. One night, things escalated. My brother had gone out to grab food, leaving me alone with Claire. She leaned against the kitchen counter, her arms crossed, her eyes cold. "You know, they like me better than you," she whispered. I froze. My breath caught in my throat. "You've had their attention your whole life, but now? You're just extra. And I'm going to make sure they see it too." I wanted to run, but I couldn't move. Her words pierced me deeper than any knife. When my brother walked back in, she instantly switched, smiling and kissing him like nothing had happened. I thought maybe if I told him, he'd believe me. But when I tried, he shook his head. "Come on, you're imagining things. Claire would never do that." That broke me. But the real nightmare began a month later. It was my birthday. My parents usually made a big deal out of it, but this time the celebration felt different, cold. Claire had organized the whole thing, from decorations to the cake, and when it came time to cut it, my mom handed Claire the knife. Not me. I laughed it off, but inside I was dying. Then came the gift. My brother and Claire handed me a small wrapped box. I opened it, expecting something thoughtful. Instead, it was a moving out starter kit. A set of keys to an apartment they'd already picked out for me, a budget sheet, even a lease agreement ready to sign. Everyone clapped, everyone smiled, except me. I felt humiliated. My birthday had been turned into an eviction notice. That night, I cried in my room for hours, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized this wasn't just about Claire wanting attention. She wanted to replace me in my own family. She wanted to push me out completely. The final straw came a week later. I walked into the living room and found Claire sitting between my parents, flipping through old family photo albums. Except some of the pictures were missing. The ones of me. My stomach dropped. "Where are those pictures?" I asked. Claire looked up, smiling innocently. "Oh, I thought the albums looked too cluttered. Don't worry, I put them away." But when I searched the house, I couldn't find them. My childhood memories, gone. That night, I swore to myself I wouldn't let her erase me. I didn't know how yet, but I was going to fight back. And then, something happened that I never expected. Something that turned everything upside down. One evening, I was in the kitchen when I accidentally overheard Claire on the phone. Her voice was sharp, panicked. No, they still don't know. Just give me more time. Once she's out of the way, everything will be perfect. I'll get the inheritance. Trust me. They won't suspect a thing. My heart stopped. Inheritance? What was she talking about? I pressed my hand to my mouth, trying not to make a sound. She ended the call quickly, and when she turned around, I ducked out of sight. But my mind was racing. Was this why she was trying to erase me? Was this all part of a bigger plan to cut me out of my family completely so she could take everything for herself? I wanted to run to my parents and tell them everything, but deep down, I knew they wouldn't believe me. Not after months of her manipulation. So I made a decision. I was going to uncover the truth myself. I was going to find proof of what she was planning. But what I didn't realize was that by doing so, I'd put myself in more danger than I could have ever imagined. When I left my parents' house that night, my heart felt like it was splitting in two. I never thought my own family could make me feel like a stranger. My brother's wife, Emily, had been slowly pushing me out, and it seemed like everyone was letting it happen. I thought staying away for a while would make them realize how much I meant to them. I thought maybe, just maybe, they would miss me. But the days turned into weeks and nobody called, not even my brother. It felt like I was being erased from my own family's story. A sudden message. One evening, I got a message from an unknown number. Hey, is this Sarah? This is Anna from your parents' neighborhood. I think you should know something. Confused, I called the number back. A woman answered. She told me she often saw Emily talking badly about me in front of the neighbors, saying things like, Sarah has always been jealous of me, and she doesn't really belong in this family. I froze. So Emily wasn't just manipulating my family inside the house. She was poisoning my reputation outside too. But then Anna said something that really cut deep. Last week, I overheard Emily telling your mom that you were unstable. She said you had a history of causing drama just for attention. Unstable. That was the last straw. The next blow came out of nowhere. My brother and Emily announced they were having a vow renewal ceremony just 1 year into their marriage. And I wasn't invited. I found out because one of my cousins posted about it on social media. Everyone in my extended family was going. Everyone. Except me. Seeing the pictures online shattered me. There was my brother, smiling ear to ear while Emily stood proudly beside him in a white dress. My parents looked happier than I'd seen them in years. And me? I wasn't even mentioned. It was as if I didn't exist. A few weeks later, I bumped into Mark, an old friend of my brother's, at the grocery store. He looked awkward at first, but then asked me, Hey, are you okay? I noticed you weren't at the vow ceremony. I forced a smile. Yeah, I wasn't invited. Mark frowned. That's weird. I thought maybe you were busy. Emily told people you moved away because you didn't get along with your family anymore. My jaw dropped. So Emily was rewriting the story of my life, telling everyone I left voluntarily. Mark shook his head. Look, I don't want to get in the middle, but I've known your brother since we were kids. He never used to ignore you. Something's not right here. That conversation lit a fire in me. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't imagining things. Emily was systematically erasing me from my own family's picture. I decided I couldn't keep running from this. I had to confront them. So, I showed up at my parents' house one Sunday afternoon. My heart pounded as I knocked. Emily opened the door, her smile instantly fading when she saw me. Oh, it's you, she muttered. I pushed past her before she could stop me. My parents were in the living room along with my brother. The air grew thick with tension. I'm done being silent, I said, my voice trembling but loud. I know what you've been saying about me, Emily. I know you've been lying about me to the neighbors, to my family, even online. You've tried to replace me in my own family, and I want to know why. Emily's eyes widened, but then she smirked. Why? Because this family needed peace. And ever since I came here, you've done nothing but cause problems. You can't stand that your brother has someone who comes first now. You were always desperate for attention. Her words sliced through me. I turned to my parents, hoping, praying, they would finally defend me. But my mom looked away. My dad sighed. And my brother, My own brother just sat there, silent. The silence hurt worse than Emily's insults. I couldn't hold back anymore. Tears streamed down my face. "You've all changed," I whispered. "You've let someone who's only been here for a couple of years erase everything I've been to this family my whole life. Do you even realize what you're doing?" My mom finally spoke. "Sarah, maybe it's best if you keep your distance. Emily is part of this family now. You need to accept that." Those words nearly destroyed me. I turned to my brother, begging with my eyes for him to say something. Anything. But he stayed silent, staring at the floor. That was it. That was the moment I realized I had already been replaced. I walked out of that house and promised myself I wouldn't go back. Not until they saw the truth. The next months were the hardest of my life. I felt like an orphan even though my family was still alive. I poured myself into work, into new friendships, into rebuilding a life where I wasn't defined by their rejection. And slowly, I started to heal. But just as I began to move forward, something happened that none of us could have predicted. One evening, I got a frantic call from my cousin. "Sarah, you're not going to believe this. Emily's been exposed." I sat up straight. "What do you mean?" Apparently, Emily had been caught in a huge lie. She had been telling people she came from a wealthy family, that her parents owned multiple businesses. But it turned out her family was in major debt, and she had been hiding it. Worse, she had been using my parents' money, without their knowledge, to pay off some of her debts. The news spread fast. My parents were humiliated. My brother was furious. For the first time, they started questioning everything Emily had ever told them. And that's when my phone rang. It was my brother. The apology. When I answered, his voice cracked. "Sarah, I'm so sorry." I didn't know what to say. For months, I had dreamed of hearing those words, but now that they came, I didn't feel joy. I felt exhausted. He continued, "You were right about her. About everything. She's been lying to me, manipulating Mom and Dad, turning everyone against you. I don't know how I didn't see it." Tears filled my eyes. "Do you have any idea what it was like for me? To watch you all believe her and push me away?" "I know," he whispered, "and I'll never forgive myself for letting that happen. Please come home. We need you." It wasn't easy. The wounds were deep. Even when Emily was finally confronted and forced to leave, the damage she had done remained. My parents tried to make amends, but trust doesn't rebuild overnight. Still, for the first time in a long while, I felt hope. I realized something important. Family isn't just about blood. It's about who truly stands by you. And sometimes, even the people who are supposed to love you the most can let you down. But I also learned that I was stronger than I thought. That even when I was cast out, I still had value. I didn't need Emily's approval. I didn't even need my parents' approval. I needed to believe in myself. Looking back, I sometimes wonder how different things might have been if my brother had defended me from the start. But maybe this was the path I needed. To see the truth. To learn to stand on my own. Emily tried to replace me in my own family. For a while, she almost succeeded. But she can never erase me. Because I know who I am. And now, so does my family.